At the start of Deadman, I worked out how to get my levels up really quickly, and then I rushed God War's dungeon before anyone was expecting anyone to be there and made absolute bank. In the middle of Deadman, when a lot of people started to level up and do quests, I decided to go out and get those obscure items that people needed for quests and for leveling up, and was making 14 million GP per hour using these methods. But what do you do at the end of Deadman? Surely there's no good money makers then. Well, actually there is. In fact, the best money maker out there I wanted to do at the end of Deadman. There was one thing I had my eyes set on from the very start, and one thing I really wanted to do this Deadman. And the reason for this is the Corp drops the Spectral, Arcane and Elysian sigils, which create the shields. And these shields are so sought after in Deadman mode that whole clans fight over the cave just to be able to kill this boss. It's highly likely the winner of the Deadman will have one of these shields to start with, so the prices are off the scale, and because it's such a rare reward, there are only 10 to 15 Ellie's in the entirety of Deadman, and only 2 that I know have sold, both to Older Block. One was for 7.5 billion GP and the other was 10 billion GP, and I couldn't turn down the chance to go for something like that. Well, how the hell would a PVMer go for a drop being protected by the biggest PvP clans in a multi-combat area where you can't teleport out if you're in combat with the Corporal Beast, and there's only one way in and one way out of the cave, in a mode where you can't even trust your Nan? So the plan was to not go into the highest tier bracket, stay in the lower ones, and wait until right before the end of Deadman when everyone moves up and out of that bracket, to try and sneak in when no one was watching. Thankfully, I've had a lot of practice at Corp. In fact, when Corp was first out, I was one of the first to be able to solo it, an achievement I was very proud of until someone came along and killed it with a bronze spear. Now, of course, I'm far too professional to say who that was. Anyway, to start off with, I needed an account build that was in one of the lower brackets because the top brackets were completely off limits and there were clans on every single world, but the lower worlds, not so much. So the build I decided to go with was 99 attack and 99 strength, the theory being that Corp hits you with 99 defense anyway, so one defense probably won't make too much of a difference. So with 99 attack, 99 strength, 1 defense, 91 HP and 77 prayer, it meant I was in bracket 3 and I was confident that I could solo the boss with this setup. But then I ran into my first problem, and that is you couldn't restore your special energy in Deadman mode, and the strategy was going to be to take down Corp's defense, attack and strength using a Dark Light, which takes off 5% of those levels each hit. But without being able to restore my special energy, waiting for it in between was going to take way too long to make this practical. And the only other option out there would be to either use a Statius Warhammer or a Dragon Warhammer to spec down the defense and use a ton of brews, but I tried that method and it was costing me over 1 million GP for just 1 kill. So I decided to try something else. I had another account in this bracket that I'd used for something else. It wasn't very good stats, it was a level 70-ish, and it only had 61 hit points, but I just wanted to test something, so I went in there with 2 accounts on the one computer to see if I could kill Corp. And after many deaths and the longest battle ever in the history of killing Corp, I finally defeated it, and we found out a couple of things. Firstly, that this was possible, and secondly, that there's definitely some truth in the theory that men can't multitask, but don't let them know. And my reward for killing Corp and my first ever kill was a drop of 120 white berries, and I put them on the GE for 1 GP each, and they didn't sell. Yeah, thanks. So I decided if this method was possible, why not try it on more than 2 accounts, because the biggest issue I had was how long it was taking to spec down the Corp's defense with the special energy restore. So if I had more accounts, even if I didn't go the boss on all of them, I could use the special energy of 4 accounts to get the boss's attack, strength and defense down. So I AFK train these in the desert to get the stats up for these 3 accounts. And to start off with, I would take turns on each account going in with a dark light and specking the corp to get its defense down. Before I then went in and tried my first ever quadruple solo thing, which didn't go that well. But I got it down to half health, which let me know it was doable with a bit of practice. After a couple more attempts, I then got my first kill with 4 accounts, and there was still 4 days left on Deadman, meaning in theory I could do this for the next 4 days solid, and try to get one of those sigils, which is about a 1 in 150 chance. But near the end of the first day, I got rushed by a clan, and there's not a lot I can do in this situation on 3 accounts. I did manage to telly with 1, which was great, but I lost a spear on the other 2. But spears at this point, near the end of Deadman, were really cheap, between 500,000 and 1,000,000 GP, so it wasn't a big loss, but it let them know I was there. So I logged out for a few hours, because the last thing I want them to do is think I'm a free meal or to know my plan. And after a couple of hours, I then logged back in, and within a minute of logging in, I was scouted again. Meaning I had to log off for the night. Them knowing I was here was the difference between them moving up and out of this bracket and not for the last few days. If they knew I was camping corp, they would just stay here, so I had to play it really, really safe. Thankfully, the next day was really quiet, and I then developed a strategy where the top left screen would go to the top left of corp, bottom left screen to the bottom left, top right screen to the top right, and bottom right screen to the bottom right. And this made it so much easier. This was the strategy that finally worked, because then I knew where to eat and on which screen to look at, which made this whole thing so much easier. And at this point, I then rarely died, apart from being stacked out by corp, or occasionally while I was trying to deal with the core on 1 account. And once I'd mastered that, the kills started coming in much quicker. And as you can see, my sneaky tactic worked. There was only 16 people on this world, and I was 4 of them. So it was really quiet. There was no more PKs, there was no one checking the world. I had this world to myself, and all I needed now was a little bit of luck, or just to hit the drop rate and get any single one of them, because I was killing this very quickly. After farming this boss for days, then came the dreaded 60-minute timer. 60 minutes before the end of Deadman, but I still kept going. That was still another 5 kills. And on my very last kill, I got... yeah, pure essence. Thank you, Jagex. But I can't complain. I've had so much RNG in my favour, if you've seen the first video I done in Deadman. But unfortunately, I didn't get any of the sigils. However, I did get 1 valuable drop. VLS. Yeah, I've got a VLS off that drop table. That's the first time I've hit that table. That is so rare. You don't get a beam or anything, do you? And that drop at the end of Deadman was worth 150 million. I'm not sure about how much in 07, because at this point, Deadman money wasn't worth anything really. But I would imagine 50 to 75 million. But I would have had to go up a world to trade it. And instead I stayed at Cup right till the end in the hope of the drop that would have made an absolutely epic video. But not to be. But that's okay actually. Because thinking about it, there was something more important that happened in this video. More important than the drop. more important than even the 10 billion GP, because this video, above all else, we found out that men can multitask.